Hello everyone. Very good morning all of you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning Prajakta.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning Deepali. Yes, let's start today's session. We are at end of our unit 6. I am sharing first my screen. Hope so the screen is visible for everyone. Is it visible now? Okay, fine. In yesterday's sessions, we have covered the points of hashing. Okay. So this is the another method, another techniques for searching the records. When there is a huge database structure is available, then indexings have some limitations as well as there is a problem with the memory. So there is another method, that is the hashing. In that we are using the hash function, hash function on a search key, and create the address, and in that address we are storing our actual data. So hash function is nothing but it's any kind of mathematical formula which we are going to apply on a search key and creating the address. Okay, so in the hash organization there is a concept of the bucket as well as the hash function. Bucket is nothing but it's a unit of storage in which we are storing the address, actual data. In that, first of all we are storing the address, and that address pointing to the our actual records. And hash function H is a mapping function that maps all the set of search key K to the address where actual records are placed. So there are two types of hashing. There is a static hashing as well as the dynamic hashing. Yes, the name static because the bucket size is fixed in the static hashing. So that's why here the name is the static hashing. Okay, so there is some problem with the static hashing is that bucket overflow. If the water buckets already fixed in size and if it get full, then it's called as the bucket for overflow, and it also known as the collision. So to overcome that problem we will learn the open hashing and closed hashing. These are the two types of static hashing. Yes. In close hashing, it's also called as a chaining. If the specific bucket is full, we are creating the same address bucket one more time and link together, and in that we are storing our new records. That's why it's called as the overflow chaining. And next one is the open hashing, that is the linear probing. In that, if the specific bucket is full and we want to store the new record in that and it's full, then we are searching the next address linearly. So and if it is free, in that we are storing our new record. So this is also called as open hashing and linear probings. In dynamic hashing, we are creating the buckets dynamically according to the need. We can shrink or expand the bucket size dynamically. So it's called as a dynamic hashing according to the need. So still now we covered these points. Now there is a comparison of indexing as well as the hashing. Yes, these are the two techniques, but both the techniques have some advantages, some drawbacks. We will discuss these over here on the parameter sorting of the address, performance and use of, as well as the memory management. So order indexing, the parameter is the storing of the address. In the order indexing, addresses in the memory are stored according a key value called the primary key. Most of the time we are considering the key search key value, which is the primary key itself, and these are stored in a ascending order. Then the hashing, addresses are always generated using the hash function on the key value. That is, we are not dependent on the primary key. We are generated the address using the hash functions. And to whom we are applying that hash function? On a search key. Then the performance. In it can decreases in order indexing. The performance is decreases when the data increases in the file, as it stores the data in the sorted form. When data is any insert, update, delete operation perform, which decreases the performance. And here in the performance, hashing will be best when there is a no constant addition and deletion of the data. However, when the database is used, the hash file organized and its maintenance will be costlier. Yes, hashing is maintain the huge amount of data it very well manner, but still as the file get increased, the maintenance and also organizing that hash file, it is a somewhat costlier. The cost of that get increase. Then use for in order indexing preferred for the range retrieval of a data, which means whenever there is a retrieval data for a particular range, this method is ideal option. Means when there is a limited kind of data, a small amount of data, then order indexing is somewhat useful. It's can't vary much more. It's there's a particular range, then ordered indexing is useful. And this is the hashing method is useful when you want to retrieve a particular record based on the search key. However, it will only perform well when the hash function is on the search key. Is it? So when we want to search the record hash on a search key, as well as if there is a data size is more, then hashing technique is useful. Then memory management, the fourth parameter. In order indexing, we also learn the clustering. So if you see, according to that, there will be many unused data blocks because of the update, delete operation. And these data blocks can't be released or reused because it's in fixed in size. That's why regular maintenance of the memory is required in ordered indexing. In hashing, in a static and dynamic hashing method, memory is always managed and buckets overflow is also handled perfectly to extend the static hashing. We can see, though there is a problem with the static hashing, that is the bucket overflow, we can manage that thing using the open hashing as well as the close hashing. Okay, but all our order indexing is quite easier, but it can't handle the data as goes increase. hashing is somewhat maintain the complex algorithm, but it handles the huge amount of records very well manners, but it's somewhat costlier as compared to order indexing. So this is all about the comparison of the indexing as well as the hashing. Okay. If you want to note down these points, just note down. So come to the next point, that is the index definition in SQL. In indexing and hashing unit, we learn about the index and hashing. So how to create index in SQL, is it? So indexes are the special lookup table. Yes, it's also lookup table. It's a table, okay, which contains the search key as well as the reference pointer, which holds the address. So index is a special lookup tables. It is used to retrieve the data from the database very fast. And index is used to speed up the select queries and where the clauses, but it shows slows down. Huh? Over here. It slows down the data input with insert and update statement. Indexes can be created or dropped without affecting the data. An index in a database just like an index in the back of a book. We learn everything about the index theoretically, but how to create index in our table. So for that, create index statement is available, like create table, create view, create database. To create index, we have to use the create index statement. So it is used to create an index on a table and it allows duplicate value too. So syntax for the to create index, here is the syntax. Create index, index name, okay, on table name, name of the table, and as well as the column on which you want to create the index. So over here, let's see the example, create index. Here the name of the index we are providing, IDX name, on persons. Assume that the person table is already available and we are applying the index on the last name as well as the first name. So this is the syntax. By using this, we can create the index on a table. Just note down the syntax as well as the example. Like to create a table, we are creating the index using the create index. Next is a unique index statement. Yes, create index statement is used to create index. Here now unique index statement. This is a unique index. We are using this statement. It is used to create a unique index on a tables. As when we are creating the index, it allows the duplicate values, but using the unique index statement, it does not allow a duplicate value. Suppose you don't want to duplicate value in your table, then apply the unique index statement. It does not allow the duplicate value. Syntax for that, just create unique index as well as the index name on table name and the column list. Okay. So here is the example. Create unique index. Here website IDX, we are giving the name for our index, that is the website IDX. On website, here the table name is website, and in that site name, on that column we are applying the website IDS index. See, it's a term is nearer, come to near. So please everyone complete your write up within a times. One more time, I am opening the all the provides access to submit all the tutorials. Okay, take advantage of that. Until this weekend, we will complete unit tutorial 5 up to tutorial 5, if possible tutorial 6. So complete the write up within a time. Okay, are you listening, students?
Yes, ma'am.
ट्युटोरियल 1 टू ट्युटोरियल 5 अजून व्हायचा आहे आपला ट्युटोरियल 5 आज किंवा उद्या मी तुम्हाला देईन. ओके, तर ते जे सगळे ट्युटोरियल्स आहेत त्यांच्या ऍक्सेस सबमिशन साठी मी पुन्हा एकदा तुम्हाला प्रोव्हाइड करेन. होप सो लिंक्स तर असतीलच तुमच्याकडे. सो प्लीज सबमिट. ह्या संडे पर्यंत सगळं कंप्लीट करा रायटर डीबीएमएस जे काही आहे ते 5th युनिट पर्यंत. ओके, आणि अगेन आता तुमचा हा युनिट 6 कंप्लीट होईल तर अगेन तुमची युनिट टेस्ट पण आपल्याला अरेंज करायची आहे. सो बी प्रिपेअर सायमल्टेनियसली फॉर द सेम. Okay, this is the unique index statement. Now next is the drop index statement. Drop index statement, we are using the drop. This is the DDL command. Yes, it is used to delete an index in a tables, as well as we are using drop for delete table, delete view. Like that, to drop whatever we are creating the index, if you want to drop that one, just use the drop command. And syntax for that, drop index and index name. Suppose we are already created the website IDS index and we want to delete that one, just apply the drop index website IDX. Okay. This is all about the our unit 6. Till is there any doubt? Let me know.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Suppose you want to note it down, just note down. So today we will start our unit 7. Okay, let's start. Am I too fast? Are you feeling too fast? I have no option now. Still, is there any doubt, any query, single query? Let me know, dear. Hmm? Everyone, please.
No doubt, ma'am.
Okay. Still, I'm covering all the syllabus somewhat fast, but uh, each and every concept I'm trying to cover very well manner. Still, if you are any doubt, let me know, please. Okay. So let's start the unit 7, that is the transaction and concurrency control. So as the name, transactions and concurrency control, uh, we are designing the data database management system. This is the concept of database management to arrange, to organize the data, and why it is required to do the n number of transactions smoothly. Which kind of transaction? Updating the data, deleting the data, inserting new data, creating. So what we are doing this by using these things, we are doing some kind of transactions, is it? So in day-to-day life also we are doing n number of transactions. So when we are dealing the railway reservation systems, airline reservation system, banking systems. So what is that? If you are transferring any money online using Google Pay, so all these comes under the transactions, is it? So transaction is the most important part, so of a DBMS, and we have to manage the transactions as well as the we have to control the concurrency in that while we are performing any kind of transactions. So in transaction and concurrency controls, we are covering the points: transaction concepts, transaction state, implementation of atomicity and durability, concurrent execution, serializability, recoverability, testing of serializability, concurrency control. In that, we will learn the log-based protocol, log granting of log, two-phase locking protocols, timestamp based protocol, and deadlock handling. So it somewhat big, vast, somewhat little bit, but it is quite interesting too. Okay, because practically day-to-day life we are performing the transaction, but how it's what's the logic behind that in that transaction, we will learn these. Okay, so let's start the transaction concept first. Yes, a transaction is a logical unit of work of a database processing that includes one or more database access operations. Whenever we are perform any kind of database access, म्हणजे डेटाबेस ऍक्सेस करतोय म्हणजे काय करतोय, कुठलं तरी आपण सर्च करतो आहोत, किंवा अपडेट करत आहोत, तेव्हा आपण काय डेटाबेस बरोबरच डील करतो ना. तर दॅट इज नथिंग बट द ट्रान्झॅक्शन. ओके, सपोज तुम्ही एटीएम मध्ये गेलेला आहात आणि जस्ट तुम्ही तुमचा अकाउंट बॅलन्स चेक करताय, म्हणजे तुम्ही काहीतरी तुमच्या बँकिंग अकाउंटला रिक्वेस्ट करत आहात आणि इंटरनली काहीतरी प्रोसेस होतीये आणि देन अँड देन तुम्हाला तुमचा करंट अकाउंट बॅलन्स दिसतंय, राईट? So this is also one kind of transaction. A transaction can be defined as an action or series of actions that is carries out by single user or application program to perform an operation for accessing the content of the database. It's a action or series of actions that carries out the single user or application program at a time. एखाद्या अकाउंटवर एकच युजर ऍक्सेस करू शकतो, सिंगल युजर, or application program to perform the operation for the accessing the content of the database. So transaction processing executes database transaction which large database and hundreds of concurrent users. For example, railway reservation system, banking systems, credit and card processing, stock market monitoring, supermarket, inventory, checkouts, and so on. List goes on. There is a no end. So the operation can include which kind of operation we can perform: retrieval of the data, reading, insertion, that is the writing, deletion, modifications. A transaction must be either completed or aborted. This is the one of the main concern regarding the transactions. That is at a time series of actions carried out by single user, and whatever the actions we are performing, that is either completed, fully completed, or it is completely aborted. There is a no partial state while we are performing any kind of transaction. This is the most important concept regarding the transaction. So let's take an example. Suppose an employee of bank, employee of a bank transferred rupees 800 from X account to Y account. Yes, we are usually transfer. This is one kind of small transaction. It contains several low-level tasks. Though it's feel very simple, at we are the end user, we are doing these kind of transaction usually, but it looks simple, but internally the several low-level tasks has been done. Yes, there is a X account. From X to Y, the X and Y account should be there. First of all, when X want to transfer to Y account, first of all, you have to open the X account. See the stepwise over here now. First, what you have to do? Open account of X. Then, whatever is the balance, old balance is equal to X balance. Check the balance. We are here, we are reading the balance, and after that we have to withdraw reach 800 from the X account. So that's why we are minusing old balance minus 800 and storing that into the new balance. And now after performing this step successfully, new balance will get transferred to the X balance, and the account of the X will get closed. बघा, म्हणजे एक सिंपल स्टेप करतोय आपण, एक स्टेटमेंट करतोय की 800 रुपीज ट्रान्सफर करायचे, पण इंटरनली किती स्मॉल टास्क होत आहेत. टोटल किती आहेत? 5 टास्क आहेत. ओपनिंग अकाउंट, चेकिंग द बॅलन्स, देन ट्रान्सफरिंग ओल्ड बॅलन्स with withdrawing value with the new balance. After that, again we are updating the new balance with the X balance, and closing that. Same thing at Y account is happening. His current balance will get changed. So to perform that action, first we have to open the Y account. whatever is the current balance of that y balance, y dot balance, we have to transfer to the old balance. And old balance is nothing, we have to upgrade that one. So we are adding 800 rupees in that. Now new balance is old balance plus 800 rupees, and that new balance is again stored into the y dot balance and account that close. So in this way, the internally several low level tasks has been performed while we are performing the at only single transaction too. Okay. These are the very simple concept we are using day-to-day life. Just we are technically learning these points. Okay. So let's see the properties of the transaction. While performing the any transaction, it should includes, it should maintain these property. These are the very important properties while we are dealing with the any kind of transaction. These are the a transaction must have the following four properties called as a acid properties, also called as the acidity of a transaction, to ensure that the database remains stable state after the transaction is executed. Yes. If our account or database is stable before transaction, and it must be stable after transaction too. That's why these property are important. So why it's called as an acid? Because A for atomicity, C for consistency, A for atomicity, C for consistency, I for isolation, and D for durability. Hmm. So its short form is the acid. Okay. So let's see what properties are these. First one is the atomicity. See, the atomicity property of a transaction require that all the operation of the transaction be completed. Hmm. If not completed, the transaction is aborted. So atomicity state that either complete all the transactions successfully or nothing. All or nothing. It maintain the quality property, that is all or nothing. This is the responsibility or duty of recovery subsystem of the DBMS to ensure the atomicity. So database management is the software. We have to manage that software. So, so this is the duty of the recovery subsystem. The atomicity property of the transaction is ensured by the transaction recovery subsystem of a DBMS. In the event of a subsystem crash in the mid of transaction execution, the recovery techniques undo any effects of transaction on the database. Okay. See, means आपण म्हणजे आता एखादं जरी ट्रान्झॅक्शन करत आहोत आणि मीन वाईल जर ट्रान्झॅक्शन आपलं कम्प्लीट नाही झालं, सपोज आता इथे ट्रान्झॅक्शन हे करतोय आपण 800 फ्रॉम एक्स टू वाय करतो आणि सपोज न्यू बॅलन्स इक्वल टू ओल्ड बॅलन्स मायनस 800 एवढे इंटरनली ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म झालंय आणि इलेक्ट्रिसिटी फेल्युअर, पॉवर फेल्युअर प्रॉब्लेम आला किंवा नेट फेल्युअर काही प्रॉब्लेम आला आणि बाकीचे ट्रान्झॅक्शन हे काही झालेच नाही. सो व्हॉट टू डू? the whole transaction will be either roll back or it wait for some time. Like that. That's why it's called as atomicity property should all or nothing property. There is a no partial state in between. Hope so तुम्हाला समजत असेल. Are you getting atomicity?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next property is the consistency. AC. See, the database must remain in a consistent state after any transaction. Consistency मराठीमध्ये कन्सिस्टन्सीला सातत्य असं म्हणतात की that should be a consistent. No transaction should have any diverse effects on the data residing in the database if database was on consistent state. Before the execution of the transaction, it must be remain consistent, and after the execution of the transaction as well. Okay. So in other words, we can say that the transaction must transfer the database from one consistent state to another consistent state. Means एक पहिला जर आपला कन्सिस्टंट असेल जे काही आहे आपला डेटा एका एम्प्लॉईचा जो काही अकाउंट आहे एन नंबर ऑफ ब्रांचेस मध्ये त्याचे असतात रिप्लिकाज तर आधी त्याचं जर कन्सिस्टन्स असेल तिथे असेल अपडेट केलेला डेटा हा कन्सिस्ट असेल तर आफ्टर अपडेशन आफ्टर मॉडिफिकेशन असो इट मेंटेन्स द कन्सिस्टन्स. ओके. म्हणजे एका ह्याच्यामध्ये अपडेट झाला तर दुसरीकडे सुद्धा अपडेट व्हायला पाहिजे विदिन दॅट बँक. जेव्हा मी ऍसिड प्रॉपर्टी सांगत आहे तेव्हा जस्ट बॅकएंडला बँकिंग रिलेटेड जे तुम्ही ऑपरेशन्स परफॉर्म करता ते टॅली करा की काय होत असेल नेमकं. ओके. Now the next is the isolation. In the database system where more than one transaction are being executed simultaneously, yes, quite obvious आहे की एका अकाउंटला ऍट अ टाइम एक्स आणि वाय मध्ये ट्रान्झॅक्शन करत आहोत आपण राईट. पण वायलाच ऍट अ टाइम Z1 ट्रान्झॅक्शन करतो आहे आणखी एबीसी पण करतायत. सो एका अकाउंटवर होतात ट्रान्झॅक्शन. हा येस समवॉट टाइमचा चेंज होऊ शकतो इकडे तिकडे पण सायमल्टेनियस ऑपरेशन पॅरलली चाललेले आहेत. सो द आयसोलेशन प्रॉपर्टी सेज दॅट if transactions are being executed simultaneously in a parallel, the property of isolation states that all the transaction will be carried out and executed as if it is the only transaction in the system, and no transaction will affect the existing of any other transactions. Okay, no other transaction will affect. जरी parallelly आपण execution करत असू तरी at a time जे इंटरफिअरन्स असतं दोन्ही तर ते होणार नाही त्याच्यामध्ये. दॅट इट्स मेंटेन द आयसोलेशन प्रॉपर्टी. there is a no interference between the two transactions which are going simultaneously. Okay, that is nothing but the isolation. Then the durability. The database should be durable enough to hold all its latest update even if the system fails or restart. Yes, is it? It should be a durable. Whatever the current updates are over there, that should be maintain the latest update. Though the system get fails or restart, either fail झाली तर काय होईल तो जो काही आपण पार्शियली ट्रान्झॅक्शन केलेलं आहे ते रोल बॅक होईल किंवा सिस्टम वेट फॉर अ फ्यू सेकंड and it's restart one more time. But whatever is the transaction that should be fully completed or nothing. So whatever are the updates, it should be updated to everywhere. And if the transaction updates a chunk of data in a database and commits, then the database will hold the modified data. And if transaction commits, but the system fails before the data could be written on the days, then that data will be updated once the system springs back into actions. म्हणजे डेटाबेस साईडला कमिट झालेला आहे पण आपल्या सिस्टीम साईडला फेल्युअर आलंय तर तो नंतर अगेन आपण सिस्टीम स्विंग बॅक होपर्यंत आपण वाट बघतो आणि मग नंतर ती ऍक्शन ही कम्प्लीट होते. सो फॉर एनी ट्रान्झॅक्शन these four properties are the most important, that is the acid property. And see, acid property is the one of the important concept and this is the one of the examiner favorite question. तुम्ही म्हणू शकता की याच्यावर हे क्वेश्चन्स तुम्हाला इंटरव्ह्यूज मध्ये विचारले जाऊ शकतात. डेटाबेस रिलेटेड असेल तर ऍसिड प्रॉपर्टी वगैरे. अगेन ऑनलाईन जर एमसीक्यूज असतात तर त्याच्यात तर येणारच, त्यात काही वादच नाही. सो बी प्रिपेअर विथ द कन्सेप्ट. ओके, इज देअर एनी डाऊट विथ ऍसिड प्रॉपर्टी? कुठली प्रॉपर्टी नाही समजली तर लेट मी नो, आय विल एक्सप्लेन वन मोर टाइम.
No doubt, ma'am.
Okay, just write down these points. Okay, attendance please.